Okay, so this is going to be our Q&A. We are missing one person, but he is helping AccuZIP customers doing support. So we're missing Matthew Little. We've got Steve Belmonte, CEO. Dave Belmonte, Systems Administrator and Senior Support Specialist. We have Trish here, world-class presenter, direct marketing, direct mail expert. Eric Lambeth, multiple things, technical support director, longest tenured AccuZIP employee, 27 years, Eric?
27 years.
27 years.
That is correct, Mrs. Speaker.
Website coordinator, and then Terry Crouch, who's our application support manager. So this is your yes, Terry is
20 years.
20 years. All of our staff is on, I'd say on average, is a decade or more, and then once they come on, they never.
Then there's me, guy.
Yes.
Always like
Always up in those. And then this is Matthew Lowe. He is one of our associate software developers, super genius. Okay, so this is your time. So this is a Q&A. It's your time to ask any questions that you want. So what I was going to do is if you just raise your hand, I'll come around with the microphone and you can ask the question, and one of these amazing 6 people will answer.
They have to be easy. It is late.
Okay, who wants to be the brave first person?
Okay.
Okay. And if you could maybe introduce yourself, company name. That's it. Just name, company name, and your question.
Oh!
Done with you.
Relationship.
My name is Brittany, and I'm with Piedmont Direct Mail in Greensboro, North Carolina. I was just wondering if you guys could give me an estimated time frame of when we would be able to track on AccuTrace our container tags and our pallet tags.
Oh.
Besides down to the barcode, because we've been having to call SCFs like, hey, is this pallet of material sitting around there, because we can't narrow it down to the specific barcode. So we're just wondering, is there a way on AccuTrace at some point that we would be able to just like look for the pallet tag or the container tag, or instead of the single barcode piece?
I want you. You want that seat?
I do want that. Actually, through IV, and Matt can confirm this too, we are actually getting the 99M and we're getting the container data. We're just associating it with that last piece scan, which indicates that the pallet was an assumed scan at the location. So if you find the piece, it'll tell you that the pallet has that assumed scan. But for you to search by the pallet number, we have the data, we just don't have the UI for you to type in the number. So when I get back, we'll make that happen, because we are getting the data. We're just not bringing it. We're bringing it only at the piece level, not at that container or pallet or container level.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, but we are getting the feeds.
Yeah.
With the 99s.
Yeah.
So if I look at the last record in a pallet and it shows that piece is in scan, then I can assume the entire pallet's in scan.
Right, and we actually show you every single piece on that pallet was assumed scan. So any piece that was on the pallet would show an assumed scan and when it was inducted at the post office.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you know any piece, just go right in, it'll say it. But as far as having the 99M, like right next to the piece, we don't show you that, but we will.
Okay, great.
Good question. Oh, go on over there.
Okay.
Exercise. We got 2.
Yeah, run across the room.
Let's make the next one over there. All right, sir.
Randy with Regal Printing Company in Omaha, Nebraska. My question is for Trish. 2 things. The pictures that you showed this morning, are those available for capturing, I guess, so maybe my salespeople can kind of get ideas, I guess? And then the other thing is, I know some of them had cutouts on them. And for mailability, it seems like with the Omaha BMEU, it seems like it's a problem mailing some of those. So is there some information somewhere I can find that, I guess all mail post offices are supposed to follow? So what's good to mail and what's not?
Okay,
so let me see, question number 1 on the photos. So that one's a little bit tricky. I do have a lot of the photos on Instagram and Pinterest for Fold Factory and a lot of things by category. I generally don't release the images either in the PowerPoint or kind of outside of those individually, and it has more to do with the license because of my photographer, so I have to be really careful about all the licensing around all of that. So that's my one challenge there. However, I can use them in social media and other things like that. I'm also working on an easier way to sort Fold of the Week because I'm at almost episode 500 at this point. So we've got like almost 500 videos of all of those different formats as well. So I'm working on a way to better sort those so that you can find what you're looking for and have real examples that you can forward to clients and things like that. So definitely working on that, but please check out the Instagram and Pinterest because there's quite a bit out there on that. With regard to some of the windows and things, it's a little bit challenging. I will say I've been collecting formats for about 20 years, so some of the formats vary. They're not all the most current in today's USPS standards. So I would say definitely on some of them, depending on when they were produced, might have, you know, things that maybe aren't today something that works, or you may have to put like a clear envelope over it, or it might have a different requirement there. So I think it's kind of a, you know, having to check with, unfortunately, I hate to just say check with your direct mail, design professional type of thing, but unfortunately in a lot of those cases, a lot of those things come down to what they, you know, approve or don't. So, but yeah, so sorry about that.
Thank you.
Trish, can I just add to that?
Sure.
The PCSC, it's the Pricing Classification Center, is coming up with different designs of things like tail end extensions, but there's requirements around that. The latest one they're looking at is windows on the rear of the envelope have to start from the midpoint up, and there's a specific ratio of length and width that you have to follow. So just be careful when you're looking at new designs. They're wonderful. I love what you showed. And it's a great idea for generating new customers, but be careful.
That's great advice. Thanks.
But this is why I go back all the time about having a great relationship with your post office and your, you know, the business guy that will, or the girl that will help you design your piece. Go in there and talk to them. Bring what your concept is, and they'll help you model or make it so it is automation compatible. You should do that anyways, versus trying to interpret what's right or wrong from the DMM, because they may interpret it different. But have a good relationship, go in there if you have a great idea. Like a lot of these DVD sleeves, a lot of manufacturers have patented them because they went that extra mile and they literally made them weight, thickness, absolutely perfectly automation compatible under an ounce, which is really hard to do. So, but definitely have a really good relationship with your post office.
And we've got some MVPs. Matt, you're a mail piece design professional, right? So we have some MVPs on staff as part of our professional development. So you can contact us as well. Run it through our support because we've gone through the certification. Some of our team members have. Matt, I think, is Chrissy?
Chrissy's in the boardroom.
Okay, so we've got a couple people on our tech support staff that are mail piece design professional certified. They took the courses, passed them, so they can also look at the pieces, look at the specs, send them that, and then work with you and with the post office and get the sign off there too. So we can be your go-to with that.
Good point. Right here.
Okay, yes.
Hello, I'm Donna Hepler from Pacific University in Oregon. I'm curious when Living Mail is going to come online so we can create campaigns with text, email, and phone calls.
Good.
What is
Yeah, we've actually been using it for years with certain manufacturers just to make sure that it's dialed in perfect. And actually it's been not only used in the US but foreign, like Canada too. But as far as the UI is concerned and making it accessible for everyone, I comfortably say shortly because I know you guys. But the problem is that when we first made the UI, it was overly complex It was overly complex. So there was just too much going on because it's so powerful, you know, with how many triggers it has and how many events you have. Because we support not only the events through the Postal Service, but we support geofencing and weather controls, like whether it's raining or thunderstorms, also redirects. So trying to set it up, it was too convoluted. So it would have been a mess. So we're simplifying that through what we call our database warehouse, so that everything is in one record and you can actually upload it as one row of data using unique values that would set those values. So I know everybody laughed, that was actually not even a joke. But can I get your card? It'll be this year, and if it's not, I'm done. No, but you know, living mail is now becoming, you know, I think more important every day, especially with a one-on-one communication, having that bidirectional communication. And we do have 2 patents on that technology, 2 solid patents. After the rules were changed for software companies, remember, they changed the way you could get a patent for software. We received our patent after those rules were changed. So there are 2 very strong patents for bidirectional communication with a mouthpiece. So we hold the 2 patents on there, so which is really important. So just the UI was the problem. So
we had a question up here as to what is living mail?
Living mail, I've
There
never
you
heard
go.
of it.
living mail allows a mailpiece to create a bidirectional communication between the recipient and the mailer. So imagine a mailpiece you're mailing based on geographically where it is in the United States. Could be a geofence, could be weather condition, it could be a postal redirect or a reroute being returned. It could be when it received its first scan. There's just hundreds of different triggers that can trigger a message, which could be a conference call. It literally can contact you and the call center and create a bidirectional conference call, or an email or an SMS or voice, speech to voice, you know, like, or you can leave a message and then it would retain that message and then email and give it to you. So it's very, very powerful.
So you're saying it's more about the interface with the actual client receiving it, but you've also put some things in there that tell the person who's paying for this, that their product is being delivered or
Correct.
that's in a system of the reception. It's
Correct. So we see you when you go to a site like Amazon or something and order a product, that the living mail part of it will be part of that. So you'll tell the service whoever you're ordering it from how you want to be communicated. Whether you want to receive a phone call from their call center at a certain point after it's delivered, or if it reroutes, you want to be notified, you want a phone call, especially on returns. So it's really big on returns. And so one of the companies that we worked with for the last couple of years, when the piece is returned, both parties are notified instantly, within an hour of it going back in. So the customer service can call and say, hey, I know you're returning, you know, red shoes. What's wrong with them? Oh, they're too small. We'll send you out a new pair. Because they no longer have that custody of the product. It's now in the post office, so they can freely send out a new product within an hour of it being put back in the mail stream. So living mail is very powerful. Yeah.
And this I just pulled up real quickly. This is on our website. So if you are interested in learning more about living mail, I was going to show this video. Want to show the video?
Sure, that'll show.
What?
Everybody sleep.
No, it's 2 minutes.
It's a minute and a half.
Would you guys like to see the video or no?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Audience participation. But there's also a form on our website. And yes, I will. But if you can fill out this form, and then we'll know you're interested, because we're keeping a list too of when it goes live of people who want to actually beta test it. So
And it has been in use, it's just in the back end, it's not a UI. So it's like if you want to do it, just call us, we can set you up in the back end. We have to set it up. It's yours.
Thank you all for your patience. Okay, so ready. So this is the video of living mail. It's 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Enjoy your film.
Are you still sending mail the old-fashioned way? Where you drop your envelope into the mailbox's infamous black hole, never to see it or hear from it again? You don't know where it is or when it will arrive, and the person you're mailing it to has no idea it's coming until it arrives in their mailbox with all the other mail. For the average person, mailing an envelope from point A to point B hasn't really changed much since the Pony Express.
Introducing Living Mail. Living Mail is a new service that brings your mail piece to life.
With Living Mail, your mail piece can now communicate with you and the person you're mailing it to during its long journey. By sending and receiving text messages, emails, and pre-recorded phone messages. Living Mail can record and listen to voice messages, as well as receive emails and text messages sent by the person you're mailing to.
There's even more benefits with Living Mail. Create and print a personalized, secure QR code on the same mail piece. When scanned by the person receiving the mail, they could receive a text message or pre-recorded voice message, or receive an email with a special coupon offer.
They can then be sent to a specific video, Facebook page, or special coupon tailored specifically to them. Living Mail. Now your mail piece can directly communicate with you and the mail recipient. Think about it. Whether you mail one mail piece or millions of envelopes and packages, now with Living Mail, you can let your mail pieces do the talking, texting, and emailing for you. Grow your business, generate more sales, and start today with Living Mail.
No, but it's really hard, even when you're tracking your stuff, or, you can be there at a call center, and then the phones just ring as your pieces are being at certain locations, depending on how it was set up when it was ordered. So I see it being on a website, like a checkout process and stuff like that, where you can do that in real time.
Who played the parts?
So, and by the way, we have another patent we applied for almost 4 years ago, and that one is really close.
The mail.net.
New attorneys, no, not that.
Oh.
It'll literally change our industry the way we know it today, and that's all I'm gonna say. It's amazing.
Oh, come on, you can say
You said you were going to say something amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be just a little teaser. Go ahead.
Okay, next question.
Oh, right here. We got super questions.
Yes.
Yes, he has only good questions.
He asked me a lot of good questions.
Watch this.
Don't ask for time lunch.
Don't set me up for failure. Sean Black, Pioneer Marketing, Louisville, Kentucky. Somebody opened the can of worms with the mail.dat. Desperately want a post-processing. I heard it's in the works and close. Will it include a co-palletization option through AccuZIP so I can dump other software?
We have two versions of the mail.dat product. The first one is the mini mail.dat editor, which actually is completed. We're just going through our beta. We waited till 18-1 because we were only in 17-2 on the mail.dat. Now it's in 18-1. This gentleman over here asked 2. So the mini mail.dat editor, which will not allow you to do the co-palletization, but will allow you to do many of the normal functions you would perform on a mail.dat, like changing the mailing date, dropping pallets, spoilage, getting rid of pieces. Oh God, there's quite a few. Like changing the mailing date, having 2 postage or more, 3 or 4 postage statements, like if you want to mail part of it today and part of it tomorrow, whatever. It does all of that simplified stuff. Our full-blown one will compete with products like WindowBook and Monticello, and there's another one out there. What was the other one? Assurity, mail Assurity. But as we do everything, they will be in another industry, right? That's going to be a new industry for us, but we'll impress you, because as we do with everything, we have our niche. We will blow them away, and not even close. Because I'm working with some people on the post part of it. That's why one of our reasons we moved to Texas. So it's going to be very, very powerful what you can do with mail.dat. And it'll do the co-palletization
Within the year?
The mini mail.dat editor is completed. We're going to release that one first. I would say, if I would have it, was a betting man, June for the mini mail.dat editor. And the other one, I would say, I'm not going to give a date on the other one, on a full-blown version of it. But I can tell you it'll be a web services version. It'll be a cloud version. So you won't have to install anything on your computer. You'll drag and drop mail.dat files.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Okay. I know. We're in the perfect
How many of you
shoes
going to
for it.
join us tomorrow at 6:30?
Yeah.
How many were there this morning? How many were there this
About
morning?
15?
15?
Yeah, it was good.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Half hour. We'll walk.
Yeah, I watched.
You can see us out your window. Oh, Scott, I sent you the pricing list here. You got it, okay, good.
So Scott Calvera, Source One in Rock, Arkansas. It's kind of nuts and bolts question, really, but I'd say one of our challenges that shouldn't be is the annoying things that you are inevitably getting hit with after the fact, particularly like buy-fors and things like that, and you're having to track on the scorecard and all that sort of stuff. But there's some items that are on your website or help things that are out there, like I know you have the document online that helps you, that you look up if it's nonprofit, profit, if it's your permit, their permit, and there's even some more flavors there. If you've requested the mailer ID for them, if there's ACS involved, who's getting the data distribution on some of those things. As you update your software, which is great, and we love the updates, sometimes those screens stay the same. So would that be something just to reach out to support at and say, hey, is there any chance you could update this particular documentation? Because we have, myself and other data processing people who are doing it day in and day out, and we go to try to reference that to make sure we're doing it right. Because it's really the only thing the post office keeps dinging us on is those stupid buy-fors.
Right.
And that document doesn't really match the screens anymore. So just little things like that. Is that just dump it into support at email typically, or?
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah. Reasonable?
Absolutely.
It's definitely reasonable. Send it to support@AccuZIP.com. I mean, I get all of those. I don't know about any current conflicts on it, so that's a little.
Well, the screen doesn't look the same, and the fields don't match up anymore.
Oh, because the mailing state set up itself.
Yeah, the screens have moved, and so, and
Right.
Yeah, we need a direct. We'll fix that this week.
So yeah,
I'll
that's
give a
a
time
big,
frame on that one.
No, that's a big point though. So a lot of our customers are very familiar with where our screen, our buttons are and stuff like that. And when we do move them, we get a rash of calls saying, where's this? So we try to keep a very consistent backwards compatibility, especially even on saved settings. Like when we went from AccuZIP 4 to 5, we had to write a converter to make sure that everything was the same. People don't like change, but they want to see us new features added. But we try to keep everything the same as far as the screen positions and stuff like that. So that's probably why we haven't changed.
You're referring specifically to the mailing statement setup window, right?
Yes.
That's the example I did.
Yeah, I thought that was up to date.
Maybe the EPS account number, or
Yeah, I could have swore the last thing we updated was EPS.
It's gotten updated in the last few weeks, maybe. We're grabbing it a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago, and they just don't match up.
but that's great
I'll
to
take a
know.
look at that.
Yeah, and so definitely send us and send us specifically what's not, because the post office, I know we added, there was mail anywhere, and then the EPS when they're retiring caps, so for sure, and then they can update that.
And that might be a better question for, like I said, the mail scorecard track
Yeah.
position, but I'm just curious what kinds of other errors are the most common things you guys see. Obviously, the path was the worst thing ever, right? 'Cause you pretty much locked that down, but.
Yeah, the processing acknowledgement form, and we've done a lot of creative stuff on securing that so people can people say, well, how do you do it? It has to be done right because of the fact that when we initially started, people were hand filling out the path because the post office wanted them hand filled out and signed. But who was saying that sometimes our customers that deal with us were signing paths for their customers. So we don't know. So now we've created this really a foolproof system. It's all done through AccuZIP. An email goes to them and it's tracked. So they sign the path. So we're always trying to improve that technology. Now we've made it so you can run through our AccuZIP DQ and still use those paths through an automated process. So it's a challenge when you have all this new stuff. We've been audited by the United States Postal Service, and they learned stuff from us, and we're very heavy on logs and backup. We have stuff back 10, 15 years. We keep everything. So we passed all of that stuff. But it's a challenge with all their changes to keep our stuff not only up to date, that's not a problem, but make sure that when you get the new product, it doesn't look foreign to you.
And just to add that comment too, you all are the users, so you're actually dropping the stuff off at the post office, getting the by 4 errors. So it's great to have two-way communication. So if you hear something, you know, from the post office or the industry, or, you know, because sometimes the post office isn't the greatest with communicating to us, or, you know, we get the red line copy after somebody else gets the change. So let us know. Best way to let us know would be to support@AccuZIP.com, but that would help us. So if resources are out of date, or if there's a rule that changed that we may not know, if we can communicate together, we can make changes. That's the great thing too, is we can make changes really quickly. So, you know, we can work together, and
Sure.
that's helpful for all of us.
Well, like we do things that are not like on the SOC 2.
So I believe, well, BCC just, I think, we've been SOC 2, HIPAA, high tech for years. So we start this stuff and then others follow. It's just remarkable. And then, like, for example, PAVE certification. They have requirements and they have options. I elected to do 100% of the requirements and 100% of the optional sort. So when you use our stuff, we sort for multiple PO boxes for periodicals, for example. That's a complete option. But we're certified for 100% of the options and requirements for PAVE. Like all classes of mail, everything that they do, including 5% thresholds on pallets, like all the stuff that you would probably never think of. But us at AccuZIP, we try to be super thorough, but we need your help. If we're missing something, we want to know. Because we shouldn't be missing it. I mean, we're all in the business pretty deep, but we may miss stuff, so. But the UI is super important to keep that consistent.
For sure. And Eric's like a VMM expert.
Yes.
Yes, you have VMM questions.
I can verify this.
Has Tom Glassman done the mailer scorecard yet?
No, Tom Glassman's doing that tomorrow. So.
Okay, you gotta be in the mailer scorecard class. He is a beast when it comes to the scorecard. He almost knows too much.
What time is that session?
11 o'clock.
Thank you.
What room?
One of the three that were, not the amphitheater.
That one.
Check me out.
Check the app, that's right, that's right.
It is the empathy.
Is anybody using the app?
No, he's in
Is
the
anyone using the app? Okay, good.
So he's in the amphitheater?
Yeah.
Yes, the amphitheater.
Scott, you were asking what our most common errors are that people call in with, and you can answer this too, Matt over there. But I think, how you doing, Matt? But I think at the validation level, the error you would get when you have your permit, when you have the wrong zip code in the pre-cert window is a good one. Yeah, having the wrong zip code in, not relating to the permit. Also, go ahead and get that. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, and not having the proper credit for the client over on that third column of mailing statement setup.
So the zip code with the permit, I think, would be a big issue.
Yeah.
So we've been fighting with the post office. One thing that we want is when you upload something in a Postal One, we want the confirmation page. We want the confirmation number because you have to log into Postal One and print out the confirmation page. Mm-hmm. And I believe I'm going to see, but if they return that through XML, do you know if they return that through an XML feed, Tom?
I don't know.
That's really,
I stayed away from XML.
Because I told them, I said, it's completely unfair because they generate it out of their little IMB tool thing, but they don't allow us to generate it when we upload it. So I'm going to check. I think we can get it maybe through an XML. Then you'll be able to print the Postal One confirmation page through our DQ or through AccuZIP. Because the mini mail out of editor will upload to Postal One.
My name's Amanda. I'm from Tri-State Printing in Hagerstown, Maryland. And this isn't more of a question, but a thank you, because we're talking about scorecards. I've only been processing mailings for 2 years, and I learned from AccuZIP. And I just want to say, when we were going to Seamless and doing all of that with our post office, they were impressed that we have like less than 10 errors on our scorecard.
Oh, wow.
Well, probably when I get back now, something's going to go wrong. But I just want to thank you guys for your software, because I would probably cry if there was something horribly wrong and I wouldn't know what to do, but you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Hey, another question? In the middle? Yes.
You're welcome.
I'm Leslie with Casey Resort, Kansas City, Kansas. And this is kind of part I want to share something I learned today. The question that I had asked, when we export a file out of AccuZIP, it's XL97, and we're wanting a newer version because then sometimes we pass that on to our customers.
Right.
So what Donna had told me, there's a link that she's going to, well actually I have to email her and she'll send me a link, and that will fix the problem. She said it's something to do with Microsoft. I was just curious if that's something you guys are working on so that other users, they might not even know to ask this question.
Right, no, that's a good point. So,
one of our things that you guys know, one of the you want this?
Good. Are you talking about importing a list into AccuZIp?
Exporting out.
Exporting out. You are talking about exporting out.
Yep.
Can you not use your job?
Gets it back.
Okay, so basically, AccuZIP can recognize over 270 flat file formats. I know, but let me tell you what we do. We do, so in order to do this and to read these files, we use publicly available drivers, like the Jet driver, which supports the like Microsoft Access and certain things. So all we need to do is, I wasn't aware of this, so we'll look into updating the driver for exporting to a XLSX document versus an XLS document. They're just drivers that are available. Matter of fact, I didn't know until recently they were getting by the way, we created our own ticketing system. We used to use a publicly available ticketing system for our support, but we had, Matt was responsible, wrote the whole ticketing system, so now all the calls that come in, we can go from chat, and it's really documented well. So I wasn't aware of this. One thing that people were, what was the driver that we're not including? That was influence. Yeah, bringing in these XML lights. So I didn't know we didn't have that driver as part of our installation. So we just add the driver, so I'll do that. So you want to write out to the XLSX document. Okay, got it.
To clarify, I think the import is what she would have been talking about. There isn't a link that she's going to send you right now to change it on the export.
Okay.
There was some confusion on how that question got answered.
Okay, got it.
We're not hiding it. We really do.
Yeah, notice how Donna isn't here right now.
And that's one thing, what Steve was mentioning is that it's our proprietary Accu ticket system, so everything's getting logged, and then what we're doing is being proactive, kind of to what Scott was saying, and this will help us if you feed information to us. We're now using, and we're mining that data and using that intel to find out what are the most commonly asked questions, what are the most, things that we maybe didn't know, what can we, prioritize for development and programming and all of that, so that we can, get these things fixed or updated, as quickly as you need them for, prioritize how many people are asking for what.
It helps a lot.
Right, and to that point, Kristen and Eric and Stephen, I think we have been logging for a very long time.
Yes.
We were just using another a third-party system, which was limited in so many ways. So now we have a system that's very robust, where we can generate reports on what the biggest problems that people are having, or questions or concerns, and then we can tweak the software so it's not there any longer. Like Steve was mentioning with Living Mail, not releasing it with being so difficult to use. We're now going to release it where it's more simplified. Most of the problems or I keep saying problems, but most of the questions that opportunities that people present us with are label templates, things like that that are a little more difficult to use. Now we're designing that a little bit differently, just to make it more user friendly. And that's what that is. But we have been logging for a very long time. We just now have our own where we can mine the data, like she said, and find out exactly what the problems are, how we can resolve them before they're even a problem.
Yeah, and you've seen, if you got any of that like EDDM, EZIP that went out, that was like a week ago or so, it's because we start looking at these tickets, we can now farm our own database and say, how many of these questions do we get? We're getting a lot of EDDM. What resources do we have? So we send that out. And things like Tom Glassman's scorecard is directly, what scorecard questions do we get? Well, let's fire these categories up and we can see a pattern, which we didn't really have that access before. So having our own system was a huge boon for us.
And for you? So we can all just gather our own email addresses so we can all send the same request all the time.
Well,
if everybody would give me your email address.
Yeah,
and sending them in, support at AccuZIP.com is the best resource, unless you're specifically going to one of us. Everything goes through support, then they're like a load balancer, and they send the question to the appropriate person. That's the fastest way to get something done. Unless you're sending something directly to me, then I'll answer it myself, but support is probably the best for most questions.
Yeah,
isn't it hard to believe that even a lot of our competitors don't even offer chat support? We've been offering chat. How many of you use the chat support over calling us? Yeah, it is by far the fastest. So we guarantee on the emails 15 minutes or less on email responses during our normal business hours. And chat's instant. As soon as you come in, somebody's working with you right away. So not too many people fax in anymore, but we do support faxes. They used to fax them, but now they just want it like this. Our label design, because it was so difficult to create a brand new template, we actually put a skin over when you hit new now, it comes up with a window where you just drag and drop your fields, choose your template size, whether you're going to a direct input printer, what driver you're using, click save, and you're done. You don't have to know anything about boxes and expressions. So we added a skin or a layer over the button, which really helped a lot with that. So we do listen. But this new ticketing system is awesome. I just tell them, we'll pull up the top 5 issues this month, and then we proactively, like these new drivers, we'll just add them. We'll be done. Now we're going to add it so when you renew, or want to add services, or want to transfer computers, you'll get a one-time code on your cell phone. If you want to uninstall it from one computer, install it on another, you'll be able to do that without ever calling us and activating. Because right now you have to call us and activate the other computer. It's a pain in the butt.
Okay. I think we probably have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. I guess it depends on the question.
I'm still Sean Black from Louisville, Kentucky. We are getting more and more AccuTrace requests, which is good for us, it's good for the client. But we're finding a lot, I'm not saying we, but I'm finding a lot of information that I have to drill into the document to look up. Would it be possible to change the login or the main screen of AccuTrace to allow the user to change the heading for what they want to view? Maybe the start time, end time, any of that information on the main screen of AccuTrace rather than having to drill into each document.
So what information are you referring to? Because the header gives you like the
Number of records, when it was first scanned and last scanned, like the pieces. And then that, I think you're referring to the dashboard?
Yes.
Where we have it updates every 60 seconds on those screens. What information do you want at the top or that
Well, we have one particular client that wants to know the start time and end time for all of the jobs. And I'd like the ability to put that onto the main dashboard screen.
So the start, like the mail date and the end date?
Yes.
The first scan and the last scan? Sure.
Average scan, average time taken.
Well,
aggregate across all.
They really want to know when did the first mail piece hit. That's what they're really asking.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. So basically, you as an admin, you see that because as soon as you log in, there's the first screen that comes up as a summary of all the jobs you did for all of your customers. And on that screen, it shows the job when the first scan and the last scan for that job came in. The customer doesn't see that. True. That's what you want them to see. So yeah, we definitely want to know what, as far as customizing it, we can do it and have that available. So when they click that web link, they'll see it.
Well, I imagine that, every client in here has different things that they might be looking for.
Right.
But, and I have different things that I'm looking for than, my CSR team,
Sure.
they might be interested in. But
that would be cool. So you'd like, in other words, have it so there's an edit mode and for you to drag in and it would be for your company because it has to be for your company because you're just sending a web link to your customer. So you would set it up to make it so it fits your needs for all your customers. I like that idea. That's actually pretty cool. It's like an editable UI dashboard that you can set up. Yeah, that's cool. And then the other way, of course, is our AccuTrace web services. You can actually create your own UI, whatever you want, but that would require you buying an API key for that. That's expensive. There's no reason to have that expense. So that's a good idea. I can see another sprint coming on. No, you wouldn't believe how much stuff we program, guys. We do a lot of programming, so we're not just sitting around.
Okay, so let's do last question. One more?
We're sitting around while we're going.
Okay, good. Didn't have to dig into my seed questions. There's always a plan B.
So I learned today that you guys do mail lists and stuff, which I was unaware of. And I see that they're 3 cents each, regardless if you buy one piece or a lot. We do a lot of mailing, and so with our list company currently, the larger the volume, the cheaper the price. Will that ever be an option? Like right now, I have 1.4 million pieces being ran while I'm out, but we got a really good deal on that. Like versus paying 3 cents for 1.4, million records.
Sure, we can, yeah.
Like the yes, it's cheaper the more you buy, so we always buy like a bulk amount and get the best rate.
Right.
So will that be possible with the mail
Absolutely.
list?
Absolutely. We just set a volume or something like that. We could definitely do that. What we've done is we set the price like super low, like 3 cents is like crazy on literally one record. You can order one record. There's no minimums. So rather than having a different price for new movers, new mailers, new movers, new businesses, and the more premium lists and demographics, we just set a flat price, super low. But if you're doing those types of volumes, we can definitely work on the price.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We just assign an API key to you, and then you can use our UI, which we give you free, put on your own website.
Okay, perfect.
Then your customers can order from your website.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do like custom enterprise proposals. We've done that for a lot of.
So we already have the UI for the list purchase and upload list and all that stuff, but we're actually writing a UI specifically for list purchase, and it'll be a widget. It'll be like a self-contained frame. You can't expand or anything, but it's all self-contained because you might have a limited area on your website. So, and actually Terry's heading that for the widget. So when that's done, we can also provide that to you as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
No charge. We just we like to create the UIs that connect to ours, and rather than you guys spending the time developing. But I don't know if you guys know, we also do professional services with our company. It doesn't even have to be related to AccuZIP, but we have lots of programmers who can do just anything custom that you want, that you don't want to hire someone to do, and we support it, write it. You own all the IP. We just write it.
Okay, so that concludes. Thank you all for the wonderful questions. That was great. That concludes our today's Q&A session. Tomorrow's Q&A session, just to let you guys know, is going to be during our working lunch in the Marina Plaza for tomorrow's lunch. So stay there during lunch, and we'll do a Q&A while we're eating and all of that. And then tonight we have the dinner on the yacht, and the first shuttle leaves. I have it on here. The first shuttle leaves at 5. 5? Okay, so the first shuttle leaves at 5. And you're going to want to meet in the lobby. And I believe there's 2 shuttles, right, Shelley? Okay, so there's 2 shuttles. Meet at 5 in the lobby. And thank you. Okay, first shuttle leaves at 5. Second one leaves at 5:30. So, okay.
Is it sunny?
No.
It was. It was. It was. Shows my iPhone. Sunny.
Yes.
45 minutes ago it was.
Okay, thank you everyone.
We'll see you over there.
Yes, see you over there.